Shalom, welcome to ancient Shiloh, the place where the tabernacle has been, first capital city of Israel, the place where many stories of the Bible happen. And lately we have something new here. We have here real red heifers that came all the way from Texas. And before I'll tell you the story how they came here, we have to understand that it's really important, these red heifers, and the people who understand it maybe better than us are the Hamas in Gaza. The spokesman of the Hamas in Gaza in 100 days to the war said that the main reason they started the war are because of the red heifers that we see here in back of me. So it's of course ridiculous because they don't need excuses to murder us, unfortunately, but it means that this is really important. And why are they so upset about it? Because the red heifers are actually the key to the temple, the key to the redemption. It says in the Torah, if a person wants to enter the temple and he got impure, being in contact with death, either in a funeral, in a hospital, and then he can't enter the temple unless he goes through a process using ashes of the red heifer. Because the temple is called the house of life. It's full of the presence of the Lord, full of life. And if we got in contact with death, we can't enter it. We first have to go through the process. So the process is described in the Bible, in the Torah, and it says that the priest, the Kohen, has to take ashes of red heifers, that the ceremony is made on the Mount Olives, in a place that you could see the entrance of the temple mount, the temple. He takes the ashes, mixes them with a few things with life water. Life water is water that comes from a spring. So he's actually taking the source of death, mixing it with the source of life, and together this becomes the purifying water. Then he takes 3 branches of hyssop, which is a purifying bush. He dips them in the water, and he sprinkles them on people, family, men, women, that want to come to the temple. He does that on a 3rd day, on the 7th day, since they detached from the death. And then they go to a mikveh, a ritual bath, and then they can enter the temple. So for all this process, we need red heifers. Now, the history, it was very hard to find red heifers. These are actually first time after 2,000 years, we have here in Shiloh, real kosher red heifers. And why is it so complicated to find them? Because there are 5 conditions mentioned in the Bible for the cows to be qualified as red heifers. First, they have to be red. Now, when I say red, you may think of the color of ketchup, but that's not the color. There are no cows in nature like ketchup. So it actually means red like brown, like reddish brown, okay, ginger, that's the color. But the problem is that it can't have even 2 hairs in different color. That makes it hard because another condition is that they have to be adult cows, meaning in their 3rd year of life. Now, many times the calves are born in one color, but the hair changes as they grow up, like babies. So it's hard to find an adult cow that has complete, like one color. And they can't have any blemish. Now, all cows that are born today are immediately tagged in the ears, and that means that they're disqualified. And then they can't be worked with. Not only worked, any use other than the purpose, the holy purpose, makes them disqualified, meaning even if I lean on them, they're disqualified. So it makes it pretty complicated. The 5th thing is easy, they have to be females. So how do we manage to find red heifers with all these complications? So about 3 years ago, a group from Israel decided the time has come to look for the red heifers. And they realized that all the years they were looking for them mainly in Israel. Now, Israel is a small country, so obviously it's hard to find red heifers. But they said today it's a global world. We could look for them all over the world. So they started to study the subject, and they found that there's a special breed of cattle that's called Red Angus. And you could find them mainly in Texas. And they have the right color. So they started to look in Texas, and they went from farm to farm and got in contact with different farmers. They saw that like nice cows, but most of them had hairs in different colors. So they were pretty disappointed. They almost gave up. But then somebody told them that there's one farmer that has the most beautiful looking cows. His cows win Miss America every year. So they should contact him. And they called the farmer and they said, hello, we're talking from Jerusalem. Maybe you could help us. Probably sounds weird, but we're looking for red heifers. So the farmer said, it's not weird for me. I'm a Christian. I know all about the red heifers. I know the Bible. And not only that, when I decided to raise cattle 30 years ago, I chose the red Angus because I thought maybe one day my cows will serve in the temple. So you're very welcome to come and see my cows. So they went to his farm, and it was kind of a miracle because in his farm they were able to find perfect calves that had no hairs in different colors and no tags. And how come that happened? Because it was the end of COVID, and the guy that was supposed to come and tag the cows was sick for a while. So all the cows that were born at that time had no tags. So that's how they were able to find 3 calves that were perfect. And then they went to more farms, and they were able to find 2 more in a different farm. And now they had to bring them to Israel. This is a place that you need to do the ceremony. So they had a new complication. It's forbidden to bring live cattle from the United States to Israel. So after many phone calls to the governments here and there, they got special permission to bring these calves as pets. So in a regular passenger airplane, first floor passengers, luggage area, 5 red heifers in big pet containers. And they were brought to a farm in the north. And then they decided to bring them here to Shiloh because this is a place where the tabernacle has been. This is a place where they used the ashes of the red heifers back in history. And this is a place that we could raise them today. And the idea is to have here a visitor center that we started to build, and to have people come and learn about this special obligation, and to be ready when God decides it's the time. So we're going to have here the red heifers. Some of them with the time got disqualified. Some of them got hairs in different colors, but we still have some that are good. So they're planning to breed the ones that got disqualified. And then we'll have here a little herd of red heifers. So when time is the right time, then we're ready. And we started to build a new visitor center, but unfortunately, because of the war, all the budget stopped. So whoever wants to be part of this historical thing of having here in Israel, in Shiloh, red heifers, you're very welcome to be part of it. You could look online and be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
I have a question. You said breed them. Is it required for the red heifer to be born on Israeli soil to be used for the ashes, or can these be used if they keep being kosher?
It's not one of the conditions. They could come from anywhere. We have enough conditions without that.
Questions?
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The ashes get mixed in with other materials. What are the materials and why?
Right. So it's the priest used to add to the fire that was made on Mount Olives on a big pile of trees that have to be specific trees. He added hyssop, bush, cedar tree, which were tied together with a wool colored with a specific color produced by a special worm. So all these together, there are many secrets to this process, but it's taking, some of them is taking the very tall and high tree with the small bush, tying them together. It has a lot of meanings, and adding them to the fire, this makes it the purifying ashes and then the purifying water.
Hyssop in our connection is what they put the blood of the lamb on the doorway.
Purification.
Yeah, for purification.
Right.
So you're getting
Yes.
all of these
Right.
issues connected to that.
Yes, definitely.
If one of the red heifers, there's more than 2 hair of a different color, and it gets in contact with the other ones, does that disqualify it?
No, that's okay.
Just that one because of the hair on them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And they have, by the way, they have names. We call them Tikva, which is hope, Geula, which is redemption, Nechama, which is consolation, Tchia, which is real life, and Sgula, which is like treasure, more or less. And he knows each one by their names.
So, if one is ready to be sacrificed, can they sacrifice and then keep the ashes until they're ready for to build?
Yes, you can do it, but they're not going to do it right away because they want to. It's a very significant thing that has to be agreed.
Right.
The temple is called a house of prayer for all nations. It's a house of peace and house of prayer. So nobody's going to do it in a like violent way. So it has to be agreed, first of all, among the rabbis to agree that this specific cows, they're all like qualified from all the different aspects. And then among the Israelis to know it's not only a little group of people that are doing this, but it's something that's agreed among the people and also around the world. They want to make it as agreed as possible to make the process really succeed. And that's part of the issue over here of having a visitor center, is not only to have the red heifers here, is also to make the hearts ready.
Yeah, because you would have, like you said, some opposition, obviously, with these terrorist organizations, right? They would start a holy war if they saw a red heifer being sacrificed and saying, hey, what are you guys doing? So you guys, the idea is to wait for a time of peace to where everyone is in agreement with that?
Yeah, so I
much?
can't tell you exactly when and how much agreement will be about it, but we all know it's a process now.
Sure.
It's not that we have the red heifers and tomorrow we're sacrificing them, but it's a process that we're all going through. But people understand that something like is happening here because all those years we don't have red heifers here, and now the fact that we have them here means that something is like processing.
Yeah.
But still, we're gonna need some time to make it like the process to be the right time. My belief is that because the temple is the house of blessing to all nations, so I believe that one day the Muslims will also realize that it brings them blessing too, and they will want to be part of this. For that, we need a lot of prayers.
Yeah, it's a lot. But in our Christian New Testament, there are several predictions of a rebuilt temple on the Temple Mount.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So our scriptures hold to that it will be one day built. So it's after 2,000 years, right? Now we're seeing this process happen. And it's interesting because, Jordan controls the Temple Mount, right? Who's controlling?
Well, they've got administrative control, but it is still under Israeli sovereignty.
Okay, so Israeli sovereignty, but they control the actions on top.
Like a Catholic site would have the Catholic Church running the site, but it is still part of the state of Israel.
It's part of the state of Israel. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've even heard, interesting enough, and maybe you guys have heard this, that there's been some people out of Saudi Arabia, even MBS out of Saudi Arabia, has even said, no, the Temple Mount belongs to the Jews. There is no reference in the Quran or the Hadith to Jerusalem at all. And so we were kind of shocked to hear that coming out of Saudi Arabia, especially MBS.
Wow.
The prince. So interesting.
Interesting, very much.
Yeah.
And also for them, it's maybe, they say it's the third holy place for the Islam.
Yeah.
But for us, it's the first holy place.
It's the first one. Absolutely.
So, first and
Just a quick one to put that together. The designation of Jerusalem as a holy site to the Muslims was a political act. One of the dynasties needed a holy site in this area and didn't want to go to Mecca and Medina. And they are the ones who actually translated or interpreted Surah 17 into saying that when Muhammad went to the furthest mosque, that was in Jerusalem. So it was a political act that designated Jerusalem as a holy site to the Muslims. What MBS is doing is a political act of de-designating Jerusalem as a holy site. And if he manages or succeeds in that, then the whole situation in the Middle East is going to change.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Wow.
Absolutely.
By the way, there's no mention in the Quran of the word Jerusalem. It is one place
No.
where it says that place.
No, Jerusalem isn't mentioned at all, and that's part of the problem. So it's interpretation for political means, and as we know, our cousins like to interpret things politically whenever they can.
Right, when it suits their needs.
By the way, we just heard that we couldn't touch the red heifers, but they can touch us.
So from what I understand, they have to, if they do sacrifice, they have to do it on the Mount of Olives,
Right.
right? Mm-hmm. And what I had read, that they had a bridge, went from the Mount of Olives to the Temple
Back in
Mount.
history.
Back in history, so that explain why the priests couldn't touch the ground, and they did it with arches.
Right.
Explain that a little bit.
Okay, so it has to be very, very pure, all this process.
Yeah.
Because if you, the whole idea of the process is to getting you pured from death.
Yeah.
And so the priest that does the process has also to be pure from death. And the cows have to be pure. So if you go through the Mount Olives where there are many, many graves,
Yes.
you get immediately unpure.
Yeah.
So that's why they did all these arches and special bridge. But today, the situation is much easier because we could take a truck and put something underneath, layers, and then you're fine.
Is there an expiration date after, let's say, one of them has been sacrificed and we have that special liquid that will purify? Does it go bad?
No, actually, back in history, they had one cow that was good for 1,000 years. So they would save the ashes and every time put a little bit of the ashes with a lot of
Water.
spring water. And each person needs only one drop. So it could be enough for thousands of people for thousands of years, for 100 years.
I read on one article in one the sources that we use that the ashes of, and maybe you can correct me, the ashes of one red heifer could provide enough holy water for 6 billion people. Is that correct?
Yeah, it sounds reasonable, yes.
Well, I want to continue my question a little bit, and I'm sorry if you don't want to answer. Which means it makes sense after we've been looking for these for thousands of years. And they're here, and theoretically, something could happen. It makes sense to
make
at
it.
least have one sacrifice and have that material prepared in case something happens.
Right.
Not even tell anybody.
Do you understand my question?
Definitely. It definitely makes sense. If it's going to happen, I don't know. It's a very sensitive subject, so
Yeah.
Let us know when it happens so we can come film it.
I'll call you.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.